It's about 9:30 on a Friday night, and I want to talk about finding your purpose in life. And I know it sounds like a fluffy, nebulous thing, like what is this on my feed again? But I want to talk about like the importance of finding your purpose in life and like how you can kind of go about doing it. And I'll use like kind of myself as an example. So my whole life, I would say there was like one thing and pretty much one thing only that from like ages literally as young as I can form memories to when I went to college that I wanted to achieve, and that was going to Duke. And kind of everything that I did in life was somehow either directly or indirectly, like in my mind, either getting me closer or taking me farther away from going to Duke. So like I didn't really apply myself that much in sports because that's not how I was going to go to Duke. I didn't really like cultivate too many interests and hobbies outside of school because that didn't really, at least at the time when I was young, didn't think that it was important for like telling a narrative on like why I wanted to go to Duke. Like I thought it was just grades and SAT scores. Like I didn't realize the importance of forming a narrative when I was a kid. So for the most part, it was just like grades and SAT scores. So like most of my like mental energy just kind of went towards how do I do well in school so I can go to Duke to achieve this thing I want to do. And I remember when I got into Duke, it was like at the time, I think it probably still is the happiest like day of my life. It is like such a pure, exciting, happy memory. I had just had ACL surgery, so I was like laying in bed. I couldn't like move basically at all. I couldn't walk, and my dad was there with me. And I opened the acceptance letter, and I was like, "Oh my God, I got in!" And he's like, you what? And I was like, I got in. He's like, read it again. I was like, what? He's like, make sure you didn't misread it. And I was like, no, I'm right. And then he like, of course, doesn't believe me and like takes the computer and reads it to make sure I actually got in. And I got in. And I remember like we just cried for like, I almost kind of wanted, like, I'm kind of getting a little like like I feel like I want to cry right now. Like we cried. It was like really, really happy. Like we hugged each other. It was like my whole life. Like I was 18 at the time, 18 years of life, like had culminated in this. And then like this is where things start, I think, kind of getting interesting, where I went to Duke, and I think I've been pretty candid about my experiences at Duke on this channel. And like for the most part, I didn't like it. It was kind of like a major letdown. I felt like, oh my gosh, like I got to this point, and I had put Duke on such like a platform above everything else. And I got there and I was like, I don't really like it here. And that was like kind of a weird experience. And I found myself being like, okay, so like, what do I want to do with my life next? Like I found myself for the first time looking ahead to something other than how do I go to college. And that was weird. That was strange. And I kind of bounced around within college and like what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to do comp sci. And I eventually ended up settling on finance, which looking back on it, like there was a good amount of logic and like decision making that went into it, but like imperfect decision making. And then kind of like my college career kind of shifted to everything being focused on getting a job in finance. And then that brings me to, you know, that whole process that I've documented, you know, ad nauseum on this channel, how challenging that was and how difficult that was. And then again, like another one of the best days of my life. I remember when I got the internship offer, I didn't think I was going to get it. Like I really was having a really tough time getting any sort of traction. And I remember just like walking around campus, like everything felt like it was in HD. I like remember it very, very distinctly. Like everything at school felt so like vibrant and alive. And then that quickly faded. And I remember when I've again documented this when I started in investment banking, I realized very quickly that I didn't like it either. You know, I pivoted again and I decided to go to the buy side, which I actually did enjoy quite a lot in the role that I was in. And, you know, ultimately I realized that I was having a lot of situations where I was like, okay, I don't know if like, you know, Wall Street altogether is super fulfilling for me. And I started focusing on like the gym. I got in like really, really good shape. And I remember there was a point in time before I had my surgery where I was like probably like, I'm like 6'1", 185, like sub 10% body fat. I could bench like 225. That was a goal of mine. You know, I could like run really far. I had like abs. I had all these different things that I wanted. Then I got injured and like I'm slowly trying to build it back up, but I'm not quite back yet. And then that got kind of like, I don't know if I want to like eat, you know, kale crisps every day and salads and like, you know, chicken and rice for every meal of my entire life. And then I pivoted my focus towards other things. Sorry that was long-winded, but that was just basically kind of a way of saying that as I kind of set my eyes on different achievements and goals that I wanted to kind of have when I actually got them, they felt good for a little bit, but they didn't feel good for long. And that's kind of led me to like this conclusion that I have, more in the past couple of years, which is, one, the importance of setting really aspirational goals, and I'll explain why that's important. And two, more so, making sure that when you set that goal, that what gives you happiness and what gives you enjoyment, what you derive pleasure out of, is the path to get there. And why I think that's the case is aspirational goals are by definition aspirational, and you probably won't achieve them. So it's kind of this like undefined point in the future where it's so far out, it's so incomprehensible, it's so unachievable that you're kind of just going to perpetually be working towards it. And maybe one day you'll get it and that'll be a fantastic feeling, but I promise you when that day comes, your mind will shift to the next thing. Which brings me to the second part of what I'm saying, which is it's important that you pick something that the actual journey to get there is enjoyable. Like you have to ultimately find enjoyment in the journey. That's what I think I've come to the conclusion is the important part. And I'll use like my social media as like a great example. Like I don't have a goal with this. I'm just doing it because I enjoy it. I'm doing it because I have fun with it. And I get messages from people that are like, Jonathan, like I like appreciate your videos so much. They help me so much. I got this like one, I posted to like my story once. Message was the guy's like, I'm like a first generation college student. I'm going to Wharton. I could have never dreamed. No one in my family has ever dreamed of having a white collar job before. And I was like, wow. I was like, that makes me really, really happy that like, even if this is the only person that my videos ever help or like impact in any way, like I would think it's worth it. And I realized that like the reason I enjoy this is I enjoy the process. Like I don't have a goal with this. I don't have like a end thing on the horizon that I am like really marching towards, at least not like a concrete thing. And I enjoy posting these videos and I enjoy interacting with everyone who watches them. And I enjoy the community that's being built. And that's my point. Like I enjoy the process. Like nothing has to happen that's different than what's currently happening today for me to have enjoyment doing this. And I think that's important for everyone to kind of find. And what that looks like is different for everyone. For some people, it's finance. For some people, it's sports. For some people, it's music or art or whatever, traveling the world, whatever it is. It's different for everyone, or getting in really good shape. But I think it's important that you set a point like so far in the distance that it's practically not even something that you think about on a day-to-day basis, and just marching towards it and making sure you enjoy that process, that journey going there, because the journey is what is going to kind of, make you happy in the long run, at least in my opinion.